It's a worrying time too for graduates who are going to find it tough, presumably, to get work, and also for those young people who are due to go to university this September. What are the choices for them? Well, it seems more than a third of college and sixth form students are having a rethink about going to college and university in September, and maybe even ditching the idea of uni completely. Dr. Charles Johnson is from My Uni Choices and joins me now. Hello, good afternoon to you.
Hello there, good afternoon.
Obviously, like everything, but in this instance, when we're talking about university, things are extremely different this year. Lots of uncertainty and a sense of trying to work out and predict a future we don't know.
Yes, exactly. And it's very difficult to give advice about this because there is so little that we really know about how it's going to pan out over the next 12 months.
So what are the main concerns for students and their families that you've seen through the research?
Well, you kind of touched on the single main thing is clearly just the degree of uncertainty about what's going to happen next. And it's not just that they're not sure what's going to happen at university. Of course, if they had other plans, like having a gap year or taking a year out or deferring or whatever it happened to be, exactly how that might work out has also become uncertain. And in fact, interestingly, although it is true that most of them are reconsidering what they might do this coming year about university, it's not the case that they're choosing not to go. If anything, in fact, fewer people are talking about deferring taking up the university places than in a typical year.
Really?
Because I think what's happening is that faced with the degree of uncertainty, a lot of A-level students are thinking, well, I will do something which brings some certainty back into my life. And one of the things that they think is sure to happen is that university courses are going to start up again in September. And at least you will have something definite.
Right, there's something to focus on, something to look forward to, if you like.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Well, still, 37% are unsure whether they'll start new higher education in September. And I suppose a lot of the focus is on what will they be going to. It's not, will they have actual lectures or will it be online lectures, in which case should they be bothering to go travelling, to a university, to paying the rent, paying the same fees as if they were getting the full package, but they're not, they believe, getting the full package. There's all those kind of conversations, isn't it?
No, exactly. And I think that's the real concern here, that given what I've just said, I think it's still the case that a high percentage, and it may actually, if you take all the debate, all the considerations that are going on, it may well be more than 37%. People are thinking about, well, am I going to get value for money from this? Is the experience that I'm going to get at university what I was actually hoping for or expected? And I think under those circumstances, and a lot of people in the survey that we carried out have said that we're just not sure about things like virtual lectures and distance, that kind of distance learning approach, because that's not what the university experience is supposed to be all about. So there's even people who are deciding that they think they might go ahead with their application and go to university this year anyway are still nonetheless concerned about whether they're going to get value for money.
Yeah, so you could understand that completely. Well, let's bring in Ben at this point. Afternoon to you, Ben.
Hi, good afternoon.
So you're in the second year at the University of the West of England. That's the one that I went to, funnily enough, many years ago. So what are you studying there?
So I'm studying aerospace engineering, and I've just finished the second of 4 years.
Obviously, the last 2 years, I imagine, were, your typical university experience, whether it's the studying or the socialising or all of that. What do you believe the next year will be like? Do you believe it's going to be very different?
Well, yesterday we did get something from the Vice-Chancellor of UE to let us know how things were going to go. And essentially, for the first semester, the plan is that lectures will be online and everything that can be online will be online. Obviously, something like engineering, there's a practical element to it, and they're going to have to make accommodations to do the practical side of things. But and they're doing as much as they can to reduce the amount that people are face to face with each other as possible. So that means obviously no lectures, but it also means that there will be possibly no sports clubs, no societies. We don't know at this point, but it's looking very likely that might not be a thing for at least the first semester.
Sure. And on that basis, are you happy to continue, or would you make other decisions for a year? I mean, have you thought about that, having got the email?
I was thinking about that before the email, especially after Cambridge made their announcements. I thought, what if that happens? And I considered the possibilities of taking a year out and resuming a year later when everything had returned to normal. And the big problem is what are you going to do with that year out? Like Dr. Johnson was saying, is that there is that certainty that there is something in September, even if it's not ideal. And you can't go travelling. And there probably aren't going to be as many jobs to take to do a year out working as well. And also from a personal perspective, I'm a mature student, not that mature, I'm only 25, but if I take a year out, that means pushing my graduation to 28 rather than 27, meaning delaying returning to the workforce by another year. So there are a lot of things to consider, and I'm now very almost sure that I'm going to be returning this September. But it was something that I considered, and there are lots of reasons to consider.
Many houses at the moment, and particularly I'm sure at the kitchen table, what do you do if you've got a teenager who wants to go to university, was anticipating going to university in September? Is it still the plan when everything looks like it could be very different at the moment, very much in life generally, but particularly if you're going off to university, and how that will look, and obviously the fees involved, and how you will get to your lectures, how much time you'll be able to spend socially with other people. The big questions continue with very few answers, frankly, but Dr. Charles Johnson is from My Uni Choices. Coming back to you then, Charles, I wonder, there's the combination of, yes, okay, I might want to plough on and go, in September, but looking at the very different way that things might be in university, do you think any universities will consider changing their fees, reducing their fees at all?
Oh,
No.
I'm not really in a position to answer that question for universities, but I'd be surprised if they were thinking about that. In fact, actually, because one of the other suggestions that came up in the survey that we ran was that universities should put back their term start date to January. Now, that's from the student's point of view, that would actually probably be a really good suggestion. I mean, I can absolutely see why you might want to do that. From the university's point of view, the financial loss from doing something like that could be huge. Not just in terms of the fees for the courses, but also, of course, they're going to have lots and lots of student accommodation lying empty during that period. I mean, that's really quite a big issue. Student accommodation is a huge issue for most universities.
Because it's a big income for them, presumably.
It's very big income, and if they're not getting that income, they have a lot of empty property just sitting around. I mean, this is a big thing for the university, and I think that it's already been flagged up that some of them may well struggle financially anyway. But this is I'd be surprised if they started reducing fees, because I'm not quite sure how they would afford it.
All right, Ben, coming back to you then as a student, second year at University of West of England, and you are a mature student at the tender age of 25. So halfway through, and obviously the second half of your course could be potentially looking very different. Do you believe that whatever happens, if you carry on with your course as is, that you will be getting value for money and there's no change in that?
I would say that I'm definitely not getting as much value for money as I'd be getting last year, and probably probably every student would want there to be some kind of reduction in fees. I don't expect it's going to happen. However, I also don't think if they don't reduce the fees that it wouldn't be worth still doing. It would be worth getting on with it in order to graduate on time. And if we have to have one semester of not everything being as great as we'd have liked it to be, then that's not going to be, that's not ideal. It's not what we want. It wasn't our dream and our vision for university, but so be it. It's the hand we got dealt, and we just have to play it.
We were hearing a lot from young people yesterday about the mental health toll of this whole thing. As a student, do you feel that too, the struggle with the whole situation?
I mean, when I started going to university, I didn't move house. I lived locally to the university, so I started going to university, and the thing that's really affected me mentally is the confinement, and I think that in many ways, being able to go to university again, even if it is virtually, will sort of be something to do and something to occupy your mind. I think it would be alleviating for mental health. For me, anyway. I can't speak for other students, but no. I think that even virtual study might be something that will help.
Well, good luck to you and to anybody else then who's in this position at the moment. Thank you very much both for speaking to me. Ben, second year student then at the University of West of England, UWE, and Dr. Charles Johnson from myunichoices.com. If you would like to have a look more, if there's someone in your family who's having a serious think or even a rethink about whether to go to university in September still, to defer, or even to put it all off altogether, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Intrigued to know, what kind of conversations have been going on in your house. I bet they've been thick and fast for sure.